Why was I standing here, in the suffocating heat of my mother-in-law's attic, holding a wedding dress that wasn't mine? The dust motes danced in the single beam of light from a grimy window, illuminating the pristine white lace. It was her dress. My wife, Sarah's, but this one. This one was brand new, still smelling of the bridal shop, and carefully hidden away. I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, it wasn't for me. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. It started subtly, like a hairline crack in a foundation. 6 months ago, our life was perfect, or so I thought. We had a beautiful brownstone in Lincoln Park, just off Clark Street. I managed a downtown architecture firm, and Sarah was a rising star in the art gallery scene. Our 10th anniversary was coming up. I was planning a surprise trip back to Lake Como, where we'd honeymooned. Life was good. The first sign was at my own company's holiday party. Sarah, usually the life of the party, was attached at the hip to a new client, a slick real estate developer named Mark. I remember watching them laugh together, their heads bent close. She touched his arm, a casual gesture, but it lingered a second too long. I felt a tiny, irrational sting of jealousy. I brushed it off. I was being ridiculous. She loved me. But then the strange behavior started. Late nights at the gallery became more frequent, business trips on weekends. Her phone, once left casually on the kitchen counter, was now either in her hand or flipped screen down. When I'd walk into her room while she was texting, she'd quickly lock the screen with a flick of her thumb. She started taking calls on the balcony, even in the biting Chicago winter wind. "It's just the gallery owner, honey," she'd say, her cheeks flushed from the cold. "You know how she is, so dramatic." The excuses were always plausible, always just reasonable enough to make me feel like the bad guy for even questioning them. Slowly, the warmth in our marriage began to cool. The little things vanished first. The morning kisses before I left for work. The way she'd grab my hand while we walked down Armitage Avenue, her laughter, once a constant melody in our home, became a rare and muted sound, reserved mostly for her phone. She grew distant, an island I could see but no longer reach. Our conversations became purely logistical. "Did you pay the electric bill? I'll be home late tonight. Don't wait up." I'd try to talk to her, to ask what was wrong, but she'd build a wall of tired sighs and vague complaints about work stress. "You're imagining things, Jake," she'd say, her eyes not quite meeting mine. "I'm just tired. Stop being so needy." Her arrogance grew with her distance. She and Mark became brazen. They'd show up at the same restaurants where we had dinner with friends. Mark would saunter over, a smug grin on his face, and say, "Jake, Sarah?" Small world. Sarah would blush and giggle, a girlish, flustered sound I hadn't heard in years. It was a performance. They were getting a thrill out of it, a sick satisfaction from their secret being hidden in plain sight. They felt untouchable, and I was the fool playing the part of the oblivious husband. My own friends started giving me pitying looks. The humiliation was a physical weight, pressing down on my chest until I could barely breathe. They were laughing at me. The whole world was laughing at me. The breakdown happened on a rainy Tuesday in March. I came home early, hoping to surprise her, maybe cook her favorite dinner. I found the front door unlocked. I heard her voice from the bedroom, but it wasn't the tired, flat tone she used with me. It was alive, full of laughter and a breathless intimacy that punched the air from my lungs. I froze in the hallway, listening. "Oh, Mark, you're terrible," she giggled. "He has no idea. He's just so predictable." Predictable, the word echoed in the sudden silence of my mind. I quietly closed the front door and walked out into the rain. I didn't have a coat. I just walked, for hours, until the cold seeped into my bones. That night, something inside me shattered. The love, the trust, the future I'd built my entire life around, it all crumbled into dust. When the grief subsided, something else took its place. It was cold, hard, and sharp as a shard of glass. It was rage. From that day on, I was a different man. I became a ghost in my own home, playing the part of the loving, slightly clueless husband she wanted me to be. But my mind was a whirlwind of strategy. I started gathering proof. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop, who was discreet and brutally efficient. While Sarah was on a gallery retreat in Miami, He was sending me high-resolution photos of her and Mark on the beach, their bodies tangled together on a lounge chair. I put a keylogger on her laptop. I read the emails, the chat logs, the secret hotel bookings. I saw the words "I love you" typed out for another man. I saw them planning their future, a future built on the ruins of my life. That's when I started setting the traps. I knew Sarah had been quietly siphoning money from our joint savings account. Small amounts she thought I wouldn't notice. I let her. I even forgot to check the statements, feigning ignorance. I knew Mark was in the middle of a massive, career-defining real estate deal, one that my firm was peripherally involved in. I started digging into his financials, using my industry connections to uncover every shady loan and every cut corner. And then there was the attic. Sarah mentioned her mom was clearing it out. I offered to help, the perfect, doting soon-in-law. I knew Sarah was sentimental. I had a hunch. There it was, tucked away in an old cedar chest. The dress, the symbol of their ultimate betrayal, planned to remarry as soon as she was done with me. The receipt was still in the box. She'd bought it 2 weeks ago. The day of my revenge was our 10th anniversary. I threw a huge party at our home, inviting all our friends, family, and most importantly, our professional colleagues. I invited Mark and his business partners. Sarah was radiant, playing the role of the perfect hostess, completely unaware she was the star of a tragedy. At the height of the party, I stood up to make a toast. I raised my glass. "To 10 years with my beautiful wife Sarah," I began, my voice steady. "She's taught me so much, especially about the importance of transparency and honesty." A nervous ripple went through the crowd. Sarah's smile faltered. "For instance," I continued, my eyes locked on hers, I was so transparent. "I hired a private investigator to document her romantic weekend in Miami with our dear friend Mark." I clicked a remote. The large smart TV on the wall, which had been displaying a slideshow of our wedding photos, flickered to life. It showed a crystal-clear image of Sarah and Mark kissing on a hotel balcony. Gasps filled the room. Sarah's face went white. Mark looked like he was going to be sick. And here they are, click, discussing my predictability in our own bedroom. An audio file played, her voice filling the silent room. Humiliation washed over her face. Then I turned to Mark. And Mark, speaking of transparency, I took the liberty of forwarding your creative accounting on the new tower project to the SEC and the IRS. My gift to you. His partner stared at him in horror. Then, for the finale, I looked back at Sarah, my voice dropping to a cold whisper. "But my favorite secret I uncovered was in your mother's attic." I gestured to a large box my friend brought into the room. I opened it and pulled out the white wedding dress. "It's beautiful, Sarah. I just have one question. Who was supposed to wear it to your wedding with Mark? You or him?" The room erupted. People were shouting. Her mother was crying. Sarah just stood there, completely broken, the whispers and stares of our entire world crashing down on her. Her social life, her reputation, her future all vaporized in a single, perfectly executed moment. The legal battles that followed were a formality. I had all the proof, she got nothing. Months later, I sold the house. La sold the house. She was working as a waitress in a diner out in the suburbs. Her hair was different, her eyes were empty. She saw me, and for a second, there was a flicker of the woman I once loved, now replaced by a hollow shell of shame and regret. I didn't say a word. I just turned and walked away, leaving her alone with the ghosts of what she had destroyed. The silence that followed was louder than any of the shouting had ever been.